Hey everybody, this is Dead Winter Dead with another Battlefield 4 video for you. Today we're taking a look at a game of Lumphini Garden on Rush. This will kind of be a breakdown of Rush, but I'm actually going to do it from the flip side. Typically when you see a Rush breakdown, it's typically attacking routes, how to get past the defenders, what routes are safe, what routes are your typical blueberry routes that are just going to be crowded and spanned with grenades and 320s, etc., etc. This one is actually going to be from the defender's point of view. Now you could be saying, well, how are you going to do a breakdown from the defender's point of view? Most games of Rush on Lumphini Garden end right here, and that would be correct. Most games end right here at this first set of MCOMs. But today was terrible. I make a lot of bad decisions. I make a couple of good ones, but my team overall just gets flat outplayed. 100% outplayed. I'm not going to make any excuses. We just couldn't pull it out. So this first set of MCOMs, the attackers can come at you from several different areas. This building I'm in front of right now, this is a main attacking lane that we're looking down. They can actually go behind me and come around the other side. They can also move on top of this lifted stair area, and they can also go on the other side of that far building that you can see. So you essentially have a major attacking lane down the center, and then two secondary attacking lanes on either side of the far end of the buildings, which funnel you into a couple different areas. This being the first set of MCOMs, or the first MCOM. But also there's an alley and another building that you can skirt around, which is right in front of me here. The alley being the first attack lane, and the secondary route behind that building off to our right. Now, what they did here was perfect, and I preach this in Rush all the time. They pushed two MCOMs simultaneously, and if you look at the map, they are all over both MCOMs. A lot of times you'll see players, they will arm one MCOM, or you'll see a squad will arm one MCOM, and then they will just camp it, and they'll sit there and camp it, which is a fairly sound tactic. I mean, you would think, well, I don't want someone to disarm this MCOM, so I'm just going to camp the MCOM. Now, you might get that destroyed, but what you really want to do is you want to divide the defending forces. You want to put pressure on both flanks, put pressure on both MCOMs simultaneously, which was exactly what this enemy team did. I don't know how many of them were communicating using some sort of voice communication, or whether it was just a group of players who knew the ebb and flow of this map and were able to just instinctually move around us, get the pincher attack going, and attack us from both sides. They armed one MCOM, and then they immediately put pressure on the second MCOM. So now we're at a loss. We now have to decide, do I disarm an MCOM, or do I run and defend the other MCOM? It didn't matter either way. They had us dead to rights, and now we've moved on to the second set of MCOMs. Now this second set is a little bit easier for the attackers. As you can see here, this is again Lumphini Garden. It has opened up into what would traditionally on a conquest map be the Charlie flag. This is the dead center of the map. It's nice and open. You have a lot of nice long shooting lanes. In this case I'm using the MG4. It's also excellent for DMRs if you want to hang back and pick people off at a distance. Snipers can also get a lot of good workouts here. They can get on top of this bridge and pick targets off at their leisure. But my point is, this really does open up. This mudslide area right here near this construction area is excellent. You've got these tiny little hills of mud which provide excellent cover. If you're running a suppressor, if you decide not to fire your weapon, you can easily skirt around these hills of mud, cross a tiny little river inlet, and be up behind the Charlie up behind the first MCOM before they even know what's going on, which would actually be the Alpha MCOM. But you're also dead in front of the Bravo MCOM. So because of this wide open playing field, the enemy can now spread themselves a little bit more. We have longer firing lanes, which means sniper rifles, LMGs, and DMRs are going to be a lot more effective because you can actually pick people off at range. But there is so much foliage, so much cover, and so much just random items spread throughout the battlefield that the enemy can actually creep forward. It's an actual creeping attack. Right here, this is pretty much where it starts to fall apart. As you can see, AWS, the guy going prone, bipoded up on top of this rail car bridge area. Excellent, excellent spot. He has an excellent view of this Alpha MCOM right here. Remember, when you're disarming MCOMs, you can commit other actions. As you can see here, I disarmed the Alpha MCOM, but I was also able to plant a Claymore. Yes, I know a lot of people don't enjoy the Claymores, but they are an excellent defensive tool, especially in the Rush game mode. Now right here, as you can see, I'm getting desperate. I realized that we're getting steamrolled. Our team is still a little bit in shock that the bad guys were able to get past the first set of MCOMs. So at this point we're thinking, alright, what's going on here? Are we terrible? Is the team that good? Did we miss something in our defensive strategy? What's going on here? How are these guys moving past us? How are they able to steamroll us like this? Now granted, they have not destroyed any of these MCOMs yet, but believe me, it's coming, and it's coming soon. Now most of the pressure, as you can see, was concentrated along the front edge of the Alpha MCOM. But the bad guys now, they can see every time you get killed, or you can just pull up your tactical map. Every time you look at that map, you can kind of see the ebb and flow of the battle. Yes, the front lines are focused primarily along the Alpha MCOM, coming out of the last set of MCOMs, over that bridge, over the river, coming out of the backside of what would typically be the Echo flag on the Conquest map. But a lot of people forget about this flank. You've got all this rubble from the mudslide. It's actually fairly easy to cross this river, get up along this dual story container that you can see off to my front there where the Bravo MCOM is screaming away, and get decent defensible positions. And again, look what they did. They pushed simultaneously and were able to arm both MCOMs within just a couple of seconds of each other, which means now us as the defenders, we have to decide which MCOM is more important. Which one can we save? Can we get in and save the Bravo and then perhaps rally around the Bravo and defend it? Can we get in and save the Alpha, even though the Alpha is going to have the higher concentration of enemy forces as well as a little bit more solid cover? But it doesn't matter. We lose both MCOMs very quickly. We are unable to recover from this, and it just starts to go downhill from here. Now, the thing about this last set of MCOMs, there is one situated in the upper story, which is actually off to my left and back, what you're looking at right here. There's one situated on the top story, and there's one situated on the lower story. The lower story one usually goes fairly quickly. Then the enemy realizes that they have to make a hard, fast, and focused push to try to break into that second story, which is all uphill. You're fighting against snipers, you're fighting against LMGs, you're fighting against mortars. As you can see, it's the Alpha on the top, the Bravo on the bottom. Bravo usually goes first because it's a little bit easier to get to. It's a ground fight. It's an eye-to-eye fight. Coming up on the Alpha flag, or excuse me, on the Alpha MCOM, it's 100%, it's all uphill. Everything is uphill. You're taking fire from the top. You're taking grenades from the top. You're taking XM25, various XM25 rounds from the top. Everything is just raining down on you. So it is a difficult set of MCOMs to actually pass and to actually win the game. Contrary to that, you would think, well, if we have the high ground, there's only a couple of access points up to this area, and honestly, there really is just, I mean, if you think about it, there's two main access points. Excuse me. You've got two sets of stairs. Yes, there are actually 4 entrances to the stairs themselves, but they all kind of end up in the same area, which are very easily defendable. Then you also have a ladder that you can move up and try to run down the actual tracks themselves, but that is usually a death sentence. Someone is almost always covering that ladder, and remember, when your character is on a ladder, there's nothing you can do. You can either climb up, climb down, or die. it's really just a death sentence. So you have to focus your attack on the quad set of stairs that are actually underneath the Alpha MCOM. As you can see, we have lost the Bravo. We have lost the bottom one, which means, okay, fine. We're getting our butts kicked, but we're going to rally our forces. We're going to stay on top of this rail car platform, and we're just going to rain death down upon the enemy. No one should be able to get up here. As I said earlier, there's really only two ways to get up, two ways to actually move a sizable enough force against this Alpha MCOM to actually, one, defeat the defenders, arm the MCOM, and then ultimately hold the MCOM until it's finally destroyed. There's really only two ways to do it, which means we should have this. We should have this in the bag. The problem, though, is if you get overrun as the defenders and the attackers are able to take the top of this platform, it is nearly impossible to regain a foothold on this platform once they've taken control of it. Remember, you only have 30 seconds or so once that MCOM gets armed before you lose the MCOM, before it's finally destroyed. So once they get up there and arm it, it is a very, very tiny window, and most times once the attackers take control of that platform, it is GG, bye bye, go home. As you can see right here, these three bad guys, they had excellent firing vantage points, firing up into our flanks. I was able to notice that they weren't using suppressed weapons. Go down there, clean them out, easy peasy. But let's see how this finishes out. These stairs here, as you can see, bad guys are starting to move up onto this flank. And remember, it doesn't take a lot to take control of these stairs. Say you have 3, maybe 4 defenders, you push with 2, 3, maybe 4 attackers. All you have to do is win that single engagement, and you can lock down a section of those stairs. But remember, as the defenders, watch this, use all of your angles. Granted, I didn't get any kills there, but I was still able to use that angle and fire into the rear of their ranks. This platform, there's tons and tons of excellent vantage points, but you have to know how to use them. Plus, you have to be wary, because a lot of times you're going to find tons and tons of snipers on the attacking team just waiting for you to poke your head out. Don't forget about the angles and the corners firing down into those stairwells. As you can see right there, picked up 3 quick and easy kills by simply peeking those corners, just pieing around the edge of those corners, firing down into the lobby and taking out guys. A lot of times they have no idea that you're there because they're focused strictly in front of them. Again, this is another fairly solid tactic. The bad guys are focused, fighting their way up the stairs. They're focused, I have to get to the top, I have to get to the top. If you can make a quick juke around them, get behind them, clean the enemy out from the rear, this keeps them on their toes. What this also does is it starts to panic them, because they realize that they are running out of tickets. They're running out of tickets fast. As you can see, they are down to 4 tickets. Now let's see how this actually ends. Down to 2 tickets. Down to 1 ticket. And there we go. Wasn't a complete steamroll, but remember, that could have very easily gone the other way if they had simply been able to get a hold of that high ground on that platform. This is a very, very tough map for attackers, and kudos to these guys for making it this far. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this Defenders breakdown of Lumphini Garden. We made a lot of mistakes here, but in the end, we were able to pull it out. My name's Dead Winter Dead. Thanks for watching.